Oftentimes in life, I have come to observe something that is very peculiar. I've come to understand that life in itself is governed by laws. And the reason why those laws are necessary is because laws is what makes the world a universal place. And when I say universal, in the sense that the law of gravity, for example, applies whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in South America, North America, regardless of the continent you find yourself, this law applies irrespective of your geographical location. And so when you look at the human desires, there is every desire in every human being to excel. There is this desire for everyone to be able to accomplish something tangible in life. As a matter of fact, when you look at the Abraham Maslow's law or the hierarchy of needs, at the base of that hierarchy of needs, you have things like food, shelter. But at the end of it, that hierarchy is the idea of self-actualization. In other words, you being able to attain to a point where you could say, yes, I'm living a fulfilled life. And so for that reason, you realize that most people are failing, not because they desire to fail. It's simply because they fail because they are ignorant of certain laws that govern the results that they desire to have. And so this is where I come in. Hi there. My name is Jeffrey Sofa. I'm the founder of the Being the Best of You platform. And the idea of this channel is to provide you with the tools and tips that are needed for you to be able to make the most of your life based on the 5 pillars that govern my life. First of them is being faith, family, finances, leadership, and personal development. And so if any of these things appeal to you, then allow me to tell you welcome. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome to the community where people take a priority on living a fulfilled life, knowing fully well that what you contribute to this life is dependent on the information and the quality of knowledge that you avail yourself to. And so, back to my conversation. What are those laws that govern life? As a matter of fact, I heard somebody say something. Pastor Sam Adeyemi, some time ago, he said that success are governed by principles, and principles are what makes the future predictable. In essence, you realize that everyone that you admire in your life has anchored their lives on certain principles. And if you know these principles would actually deliver the same results to you, regardless of the location that you find yourself. And so in this episode, I'll be sharing with you what I've called the laws that govern productivity. In other words, the laws of success. But first of all, you would ask yourself, what is success? Many years ago, I read a book called Your Roadmap to Success by John C. Maxwell. And in that book, he defines success, and that definition is what I would want to share with you today. In that book, he said that success, first and foremost, is knowing your purpose in life, growing to your maximum potential, and then sowing seeds that benefit others. I'll say it again. Success is anchored with knowing your purpose in life, growing to your maximum potential, and then sowing seeds that benefit others. In essence, there are 3 things that would determine whether you are truly successful in the real meaning of it or not. First is purpose. You cannot truly be successful if you don't know the reason why you are here. Because oftentimes people misconstrue success to be having loads of cars, having houses, having a big bank balance. But really and truly, at the end of the day, success, first of all, starts with purpose. In essence, are you doing what you're called to do here on the earth? Number 2 is then cultivating a culture that will help you to grow, to attain the highest possible height possible. In essence, growing to your maximum potential. And then the 3rd is then sowing it forward or passing it forward, sowing seeds that benefit others. And so, in this episode, very quickly, what are my 7 laws that govern productivity? The first of them all is the law of vision. The first law of productivity is the law of vision. Why is vision most important? Can you try something? Close your eyes and tell yourself, I want to go to the grocery store. I can bet you, even before you take 2 meters. I'm sure you would have hurt your toe so bad that you're compelled to open your eyes. In essence, you realize that what? You cannot go where your eyes cannot see. And so what matters most is not your optical eyes now, but it's where can you see with your mind? Because the mind is a gift. I'm a Christian, and there's a passage in the scripture where God encountered Abraham, and God told Abraham, I will make you a father of nations. But this is the catch. God said to Abraham, he said, look upon the stars. If you can count them, that's how much your descendants will be. And I know for a fact, Abraham engaged his mind to envision the 8 billion people and more that exist in this world today. Why? Because of the law of vision. Your eyes or your feet cannot go where your mind cannot see. Why is vision important? Vision is exceedingly crucial. Why? Because you see, your vision would determine your direction. Your direction would determine your decisions, and your decisions would ultimately govern your destiny. Why is vision important? Vision would determine your direction. Your direction would determine the decisions that you make in the course of life, and then your decisions would determine your destiny. Oftentimes, I tell people to see how vision is important. Vision is predicated on the destination that you want to get to. And I often say that life is like an airport. For the fact that we met at the airport doesn't give me the luxury or the liberty of time to spend the entire time at the airport trying to catch up with you, even if we haven't seen in ages. What will determine whether we can have a chit chat or not is dependent on the fact if we're going the same direction. In other words, do we share the same vision? Because it's your vision that would determine your association. It's your vision that would determine how you maximize opportunities that come with you or come before you. It's your vision that will guide the decisions that you make in the now. Because don't forget, vision is not just wishful thinking. Vision is not hype. Vision is not you just having an ambition. Vision, therefore, becomes the preferred picture you have for your future. Everyone has a future, but what determines the quality of the future that everyone manifests is anchored on the vision that they see for themselves. So just like God said to Jeremiah, a very key question, what do you see? And that's my question for you, because until you have a vision for what you want to be, where you are going, why you are building what you're building, allow me to tell you this. You will eventually involve yourself in wastage of resources, wastage of friends, wastage of relationships, because again, vision guides all these aspects of your life. I mean, as a matter of fact, Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. I rather say it this way, where there is no vision, people behave anyhow. And when people behave anyhow, results become anyhow. And so you realize that vision becomes sacrosanct for you becoming the very best version of yourself. Take, for example, as a leader, whether you're the head of a family, whether you're heading an organization, so long as you're in any position of leadership, what adds value to your leadership, whereby you begin to impact the people that you are sent to and to serve them accordingly, is this thing called vision. Because the question they will always ask is, as our leader, where are we going? And the vision is what helps you paint a picture of what everybody stands to benefit. Again, for your family, if you as a father or as a mother, you must have a vision for your family. Why? Because this is how you begin to communicate how you will nurture the children, how you would curate an environment that harnesses that vision rather than it destroying it. Take, for example, because I have a vision for my family, in my house, we don't listen to secular music, regardless. And that's the reason why, because there is a vision that I have for my family. In my family, we don't use profane languages. Why? Because there is a vision that I have in my mind based on how I want my children to look, how I want my marriage to be perceived. And so for that reason, every action, every effort is galvanized towards delivering this vision. Even in business, Again, there is how I want to be perceived as a business person. So for that reason, there are things or there are values that I hold very dear to me. Number one is customer service. My desire as a business person is that I'm serving people. And so for that reason, they must enjoy the service or the value that I get. Integrity is a non-negotiable for me because my word is my bond. And even if it means me suffering losses, just to deliver on a promise that I've made, then so be it. But again, I have learned from that lesson. So when it comes to even my mental development or my personal growth, because I have an image of who I want to be as a person, that guides me in my behavior, in my character formation. All these things guide vision. And so you realize that vision is non-negotiable. So very quickly, how do you build vision? How do you build vision? Number one is that you must give yourself a point of reference. You see, I came to study my Bible and I came to understand that God never created anything in abstract. In essence, when I mean abstract, in the sense that God always had a reference for what he wanted to create. So, Genesis chapter 1 from verse 26, it says, let us make man in our image. So in other words, when God was creating man, the reference was God, to have the image and the likeness of God. And so for you to have a vision, you must come to a point where you are able to reflect and to begin to ask yourself cogent questions. What do I want to look like? When I read scriptures, what vision do I see of myself? Because the idea of scripture is that it begins to form an image within your heart. Number two is alignment. Alignment with the principles that determine who you want to be. Because again, until you are aligned to the demands of what it takes to become that particular thing, your vision is a waste. And finally, you must have a system of documenting. In other words, writing things down. Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, write the vision down, make it plain, such that whoever sees it may run with it. What that simply implies is, until your vision can be put in writing, people cannot hold you accountable for it. So in essence, when you want to become something, write it down, communicate that vision to people. People who would hold you accountable. When they see you slacking, they are able to call you to order, not out of disrespect. They are only just trying to ensure that you are aligned with the picture that you painted, so as for you to become who you have intended to become. I hope this has helped you, but this is just the first law. And if you've enjoyed this, do me a favor, subscribe, share with your friends and your family, because the truth be told is we are building something tangible here. It's not about hype. It's not about playing to the gallery. It's about people who are focused, laser sharp about what they want to become. And I'll see you on the next law. God bless you and keep being the best of you.